as customers are looking to gain connectivity to sort of geographically proximate data centers. No longer can they tolerate a data center 300 miles away, right? It's got to be, you got to be sub 5 milliseconds for stuff to work, like driverless cars and things like that. So you got to have nearby data center, but you got to have space and the power, and it's got to be connected to fiber. Well, we're better than a cell tower. So we have a unique infrastructure set that not many companies have.
Hey, everybody, it is Dave Elsner, the tech sales coach, here with another sales skills workshop. With me today is Roger Paschal. He is the VP of channels for all of the U.S. for Crown Castle. And just a quick story, Roger was one of my first salespeople when I became a sales manager back in the 90s. And damn, those were some fun days. We were the ISDN hit team and then the DSL hit team.
Absolutely. I still have my beautiful Christmas gift from you, Dave, from that time, which is a picture of you holding up a sign. What have you sold lately?
Yeah. What did you sell today? I remember that.
Oh, what have you sold today? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I still have the mug at home.
Those were great days, man. We crushed our quota. We had a genius sales team that came up with all these great ideas, and they wanted us to sell like 300 ISDN circuits a month, and we ended up doing like 3,000 a month. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a wild time, a crazy time. In fact, I remember there's a few things I remember from that time, but one of the things, we went down to the executive briefing center at Pacific Bell in Anaheim. You were there, and for the first time ever, I saw what is the internet, the web, right?
Yeah.
And we pulled up an Aerosmith video, and we were just amazed, right?
Yeah, no, that was when we were using Gopher and Mosaic.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, even before, what was it called? Yeah, whatever that first interface was. And that's where I got my nickname, Big Wave Dave, because I came out as a surfer to teach people how to surf the internet.
Imagine giving classes on that today.
Yeah, no kidding. Now everybody's learning about AI. I think that's right. The topic. All right, so we are here to talk about channels and how we create partner growth. My reflection, I've never been on the channel side, but, as a VAR, I was supported by dozens of channel teams, and they all do the usual, help us with events, sponsor things, come up with campaigns. But the really most effective ones are the ones that got into my data to discover opportunity. And they were what I call loud, proud, and visible. They were at my office all the time interacting with my teams.
You've nailed it. Exactly. We say FaceTime equals revenue. And my favorite saying is you can't shoot moose from the lodge. You got to be out with your partners every day, with them, with their customers. It's an integral part of any channel team if you're going to be successful. So I don't know how you can enable a partner without that kind of, in-person interface, candidly.
So tell me about your team and how many partners do you support?
Yeah, well, how many partners do we support is a great question because, we've got some data that shows across the United States, there's approximately 10,000 active potential partners that we could potentially penetrate. And so in a way, we're really just scratching the surface. It's not really just about the number, though. It's really more about the type of partner, right? You've got to really understand what type of partner is the fit for your company, your culture, that type of thing. And so it's a little bit more quality over quantity. So we've got, 14 channel managers who run regions around the country, and we kind of split things up east and west. And, their job is to, get out there and penetrate new relationships. That's a big deal for us because we've got a kind of a burgeoning channel program. Not a lot of people know who Crown Castle is, for example. And if they do, they probably don't really know what we do. So we're always trying to amplify our awareness in the marketplace. So using MDF, you mentioned it, attending events, those types of things, just to get our name out there. We've got a great story to tell. We just have to kind of get it in front of more partners. And so I saw a statistic the other day. We see a lot of acquisitions and consolidations going on in the partner space as these technology solution brokers. They're kind of buying each other. A lot of VC money is coming into the space. And, you worry a little bit, what does that do to the future? And it turns out for every partner who's leaving the space, two more are coming in, and they're younger and they are way more knowledgeable. You mentioned AI. These folks know stuff that, so the not only is the number changing in terms of how many partners are in the market, the type of partner, the type of demands that you get from these partners these days, it's a different time. It's changing pretty quickly. And I'll tell you the main reason. So I'm like you. I originally, I didn't have any exposure to channel sales. Always kind of looked at it out of the corner of my eye. Didn't really understand it. It wasn't until about 8 or 9 years ago, I got in the channel space. I was with a company called TW Telecom, and we were sort of asked to start a channel in the middle of a company that didn't have one. And we saw competitors that were running like 50% of their business through a channel, and we didn't have a channel. So we started that, and that was a real educational experience for me. And I realized real quick that these partners are no one to trifle with. They're out there operating without a net in many cases. These are folks who don't have 401ks. They don't have, benefits.
Right.
They've gone out, they've hung up a shingle, and their number one skill is to build great trusting relationships with customers. And I have just had my eyes open to the power of what that can do. And it's just impressive to see the businesses that these folks have built. And so what we do, so our whole thing is about, we've got to just try to figure out a way to be, we kind of anchor around an idea, which is you got to be available, you've got to be responsive, you got to be knowledgeable, and you got to be grateful, right? And so in a leadership role, really, I consider our job to make sure that our people can do that. And so that experience with the partner that you're talking about, we have to enable our partners' success. That's on us. So we have to create an experience, an ease of doing business, whatever it is. And the cool thing about channel is, and this is why it's such an exciting space, obviously you got more partners coming in than ever before, but we primarily sell fiber-based solutions, data communication networks, everything from internet to SD-WAN and all that. Well, in that space today, 35% of decisions are made or influenced by a partner. And that number is growing. And if you looked at that a half decade ago, it was on the order of about 15%. And so you really can't cover the market. You can't unlock certain customers without a channel program these days. We have 53% of our customers at Crown Castle report that they either do or are willing to work through a partner. And we have almost 20% who will only work through a partner. So that's a part of the market you don't have access to unless you're working with partners. And so I get passionate about it because it's one of those things that until you really see it up close and you're kind of dunked in the tank, you don't really understand the power of what's going on out there. And these partners, man, I'm telling you, they have 10, 20, 30-year relationships with customers, and they're sitting right at the center of decisions. Great trusted advisor kind of relationships. It's a great space to be in, and it's a growing space.
I love your comment about being grateful. That's the key right there. Make them feel good and you get more. Be grateful and people will come. So that's now the partner landscape I feel like has changed. Like I ran a value-added reseller. We sold a bunch of Cisco stuff and we stayed away from circuits, although we could have. But we used master agents. So is your partner makeup mostly master agents, or are VARs getting into the space now?
Well, I would have answered that differently a little bit a couple of years ago. You're exactly right. The VARs, MSPs, integrators tended to kind of keep the networking space at arm's length, right?
No.
Some, kind of started to wade in, but now probably more so than ever before. I think because their business models are changing a little bit. Some of the margins in their core businesses have changed. They're kind of getting more into network services, and they're more open than ever before. It hasn't been a deluge, though. You still have some out there who really are resistant. ScanSource purchased Intelisys, I think, in 2016, and ScanSource, this huge distributor, working with all these VARs. I think they've had it's changed over the last year or so, but the first few years of that acquisition, they were really surprised, I think, and disappointed to see how few VARs and integrators started to kind of adopt network services in their portfolio. But it's changing. And so, but it's a mix for us. You know, we've got giant global behemoths as partners, such as Presidio and CDW and folks you'd hear about. And then we've got some small mom and pops that have 5 or 6 employees in their company, and they sell regionally and they rock and roll, man. They just have great relationships with regional customers. And so we've got kind of everything in between. Most of our contracts are with master. The term master agent has fallen out of favor, by the way. They're called technology service brokers or technology service distributors. Yeah. And then their partners, they tend to refer them as advisors or consultants or what have you. Yeah, it's a really interesting transformation over the last couple of years. But so most of our contracts are with the TSBs, if you will, but where our bread is buttered are the sellers out there, individual sellers who are working with customers every day.
Yeah, you would think more VARs and MSPs would adapt because customers in the state of economy are looking to consolidate their partners. And they want that one trusted partner that they can get all of their technology from, you know, that they can rely on. And so I don't know, if I was still running a VAR, I'd be all over, you know, capturing more wallet share in every technology that they need.
No, that's exactly it. And then I mentioned a minute ago the quality of a partner. You just described the type of partner that we look for, the partner that has that sort of 360-degree ability to service a customer. So you're right. We talk about this with VARs quite a bit. They kind of have a blind spot in some cases if they're not pursuing the network side of it. And by the way, there's a real economic advantage. I mean, residual income that's built up over time. You know, it can be pretty powerful to, you know, enable their business to do other things. So what you just said, though, about you know, having access to or promoting different products and services, that's so the partners who can do that are really, without question, the most successful. So while we're out there trying to promote, you know, network services, most of our partners today, for example, are selling managed services. It's like I think it's like 91, 92% of partners today sell some form of managed service. Now that could be UCaaS or CCaaS, or it could be some sort of data center migration service, or you know, almost 75% today are selling some form of security service. Maybe it's basic DDoS, that kind of stuff, or it could be you know, pretty complex security solutions. So this is why I try to explain to folks that we have the standard competitors in the marketplace, the folks that also provide network services. You know, we compete against the Lumen and the cable companies and AT&T and Verizon, a lot of real good competitors in the marketplace. But in the channel, we also compete against the UCaaS providers and, you know, all of the managed services providers, because we're competing for mind share with a partner. So we're trying to cut through all that and grab that mind share. And our whole goal is to get a partner who may not even know who Crown Castle is, eventually get them to the point where they wake up in the morning, they're ready to kind of get out there and passionately advocate for us. So, you know, that's the journey we try to take them through.
Yeah. I also feel like the community is all about the cloud now, everything cloud. Like there was this shift to the cloud and then shift back to the prem. And the last 2 or 3 years, it's going back to the cloud again because they don't want to spend $1 million on hardware. And so that's got to be really supportive of what you guys are doing.
And no doubt about it. I mean, a lot of our business comes from companies looking to connect to data centers for that purpose. We have a Cloud Connect product where we can connect, you know, customers to various cloud platforms out there. We also have so cloud is starting to also become edge. So, right. If you ask 1,000 people what edge is, by the way, you get 1,000 different answers, but cloud and edge start to merge together. And we have our core business is not fiber-based services. Our core business, our legacy business for the last 30 years is the tower business. So we own and manage more towers in the United States than anyone else, and over 40,000. So our biggest customers are the carriers who lease space from us on our towers. And so the reason I mention that is that's vertical real estate, but we also own the real estate on the ground, and there's space and power and environmentals. And so we can create a mini data center, if you will, at our tower locations. And as customers are looking to gain connectivity to sort of geographically proximate data centers, no longer can they tolerate a data center 300 miles away, right? It's got to be, you got to be sub 5 milliseconds for stuff to work, like driverless cars and things like that. So you got to have nearby data center, but you got to have space and the power, and it's got to be connected to fiber. Well, we're better than a cell tower. So we have a unique infrastructure set that not many companies have. So
that is quite an evolution. I had no idea. Idea. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat stuff.
Let's talk about data again, because when I was leading the VAR community, 14 to 16 timeframe, the channel partners that came in and got access to my data would run campaigns that would fuel our growth like crazy. For instance, every UC, Unified Communications customer that was eligible for upgrade. And so we would run a campaign, we'd load leads into Salesforce, and they'd work it with their channel teams. I got to feel with, all of these new technologies around data gathering that it's even better today.
Yeah, absolutely. What you just described is, very, very important for sure. One of our largest expenses in the channel is MDF, marketing development funds. And what you just described kind of falls into that bucket, where we work very closely with our customers to, line up data, figure out, run campaigns, and sort of joint market with them wherever we can. That's pretty powerful for sure. In our case, we can take a partner and say, hey, why don't you give us all of your customers in Philadelphia, and we can tell you which ones are already on our fiber network, right?
Or have access to it, right?
Or near enough that's right. We'll build to them, and that's pretty powerful when you can start doing the kind of matching their data with our data.
Yeah, right on. All right. Any final thoughts about driving partner growth?
The only thing I would say is, there's another really cool dynamic about the channel, which is that you can scale with relatively low cost of acquisition. And it's a really compelling part. If you're not familiar with the channel, I'll give you an example. Here at Crown Castle, the channel sells approximately 30% of what our direct team sells out there across the United States. But here's the thing. We do it with 10% of the resources.
That's right.
We drive almost, last year we drove over 50% of all the new logo acquisition for the company. Excellent. The channel is a sort of a incremental business, if you will. So for any company out there considering different avenues or paths or different acquisition strategies, I think it's a big miss if they're not very seriously contemplating channel, and in some cases maybe using that as their only acquisition strategy. So I'd love to talk more about that sometime, but I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago.
Right. Awesome. Well, hey, if somebody wants to become a partner, how do they reach you? Is it LinkedIn? You want to shoot an email out here, or?
Yeah, you can reach me directly at roger.paschal@crowncastle.com, or partner support at crowncastle.com, or you can go to our website and there's a partner section on there that'll get you to us as well. And so all of those, or maybe we'll run into you somewhere out there in the channel sphere at one of the upcoming 2024 events, which, we're at almost all of them.
All right. Tell me you have a Vegas event so we can have a steak together.
We do. We'll be there in March.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, buddy. Hey, I really appreciate you doing this. And everybody, we are out for now. We'll see you on the next show.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.